What is up, folks? Today I have a really juicy video for you. The Sadhguru channel has uploaded a video called Sadhguru Describes Aliens He Encountered. I'm sure this is a good one, so without further ado, let's watch it. I watched 48 seconds of it, but I promise I haven't watched any more. We'll watch it together. Manasarovar. They always have these legends and these stories about Manasarovar, right? Some alien encounter or spaceships and all that shit. I've seen a bunch on Biabaiset's podcast.
Namaskaram Sadhguru. Our scriptures and even our temple sculptures depict many kinds of beings like Ganas and Yakshas. Are these the same beings that are visiting Manasarovar?
The only two cultures which have…
So what are the beings that are in Manasarovar? Are they the aliens?
documented this to some extent, or the Indian culture has documented it hugely. About the nature, when we say beings from another realm, these are only two cultures which are describing definite forms.
Really? I'm sure like centaurs are they Greek mythology? There are Chinese dragons, there are Scottish, Irish leprechauns. There are all sorts of creatures in all cultures. I'm not sure why he's limiting it to Indians and Greeks.
So here we have Yakshas, Gandharvas, Ganas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, Kritikas, and there's so many like this.
Wait, I will open my grid. Right away we can mark extraordinary claims made without any evidence. And also cherry picking, because he mentioned about Indians and Greeks, but there are lots of supernatural creatures mentioned in many traditions. So I think that's a bit of cherry picking. Yep.
I think the only place… I've never entered this place, but people tell me that the best library of this kind is in Adyar, in Chennai, Theosophical Library. Is supposed to have immense collection of occult books which deal with all these aspects. But in the spiritual process, I think Gautama himself talks a lot about these things. Gautama the Buddha himself talks about a lot of different types of beings that he faced in his sadhana, which invariably one is bound to face when they move into certain aspects.
Again, extraordinary claims with no evidence.
But particularly when we were moving towards the consecration of Dhyanalinga, these kind of things like were every day happening, all kinds. I'm not good at categorizing and naming them and saying this is this, this is that, but they're distinctly different, that's for sure, no question. Very distinctly different.
Okay, Sadhguru, just get us part where you encountered aliens.
They're just in a different form, as ignorant as you are. As they look incredible to you, you must be looking incredible to them, that's why they're visiting.
Fine, they
These days
visit.
I don't have this luxury. At that time, there was no wall around the house, and the morning, always by like 5:45, 6, when the sun is rising, I always came and sat in the outside corridor. And temple was still not there. I'm just building the temple in my mind. Every day I sit there and gazing in the direction where it should come up. I'm just… because I don't have the money, I don't have the material, I just don't know only what's in my mind. At that time, these creatures just hung around for quite some time. They're like irregular shapes, but all just like two-dimensional, like cardboards, walking around, moving around and making noises and just hanging around right there all the time.
I think he's talking about something that only he can experience, or you need to have certain level of spiritual know-how to be able to experience these. This sounds to me like an untestable claim.
Sometimes I could not ignore them because they were so noisy. And it so happened sometimes that, other people in the house heard the voices and noises that I was talking to somebody, and they would come out and see that I was not talking to anybody. They cannot hear what, but they hear something. I never spoke.
Oh my god, like, why did they realize that there was some delusional aspect to what Sadhguru was experiencing? I mean, this sounds like someone who needs psychiatric help.
But they were making so many noises. You need to understand, noise means the kind of noise that we make, only we can make. When I say the kind of noise, well, the birds can make a different kind of noise, but both of us are making the same noise in terms of frequency, reasonably there. And that's why we can hear each other. There are other creatures here who are making other kinds of noises, which you cannot hear.
Yep, untestable
So
claim. If this was not an untestable claim, I don't know what is.
These beings are making other kinds of noises you cannot hear, but these were making noises that… like our kind of noises, that is, somewhere in the frequency range that we communicate in. If their sound making is of the same frequency as ours, it is also possible that their thought making could be reasonably about the same frequency as ours. Their body could be reasonably of the same kind of material, maybe not exactly, but same kind. Otherwise your eyes wouldn't so easily capture it. Well, you could see it if you're in a certain way, other things also, but not that simply like anything else that we see on a day-to-day basis.
I've only seen that he's making untestable claims in the video. Rest of it is all some kind of story. Let's skip to the interesting parts.
So over a period of time, artists might have went on transforming the forms to a point where we made a Ganapati into a Gajapati. We made a Gana into an elephant, which is a serious big change, isn't it? Not a small change, very big change.
So Ganapati is an alien.
Ganapati means the chief of the Ganas, that's what it means.
Alright, let's screw this video. I'm more interested now in this video. Sadhguru and Bezos. Is the truth uncomfortable?
You have just asked $1 million question. If I generalize what you're asking, you are talking in general about truth-telling.
Yeah.
And we humans are not really truth-seeking animals. We are social animals.
Yeah, we are.
We remember that we have evolved out of animal nature.
Right. So this is some person who's really into Sadhguru and Bezos. That they've taken two separate clips of Sadhguru and Bezos and stitched them together. Oh my god.
Means the possibility of evolving beyond the dimensions or definitions of what we consider as human is right here forever.
Yeah, I'm just gonna mark word salad and just skip this video also. I was hoping that the video is going to be a little more interesting. Word salad is not there on the grid today. I guess we'll skip that, but anyway, all this is word salad. If you wanna learn more about Sadhguru's alien encounters, I would recommend you go to my channel and watch this video where he went on the Joe Rogan podcast and spoke about this. He actually mentions how he tried to subdue an alien creature or whatever, and I spoke about this in detail in this video, so you can check out this video. But other than that, I realized the video isn't gonna be all that interesting, so I thought, why not watch another Sadhguru video, this time in conversation and talking about mysteries of the universe. Oh man, if only this had some chapters.
In science you call it a theory.
Yeah.
I call it my experience.
You can't call your experience a theory, that's subjective.
If I give you a simple line, can you build mathematics for it?
A line in mathematics, you need a couple more axioms, I'd say.
I think the topic which has been given tonight is the discussion of making space and time for consciousness. And so one of the questions is, how does one escape time? Can one escape time? And you refer to cycles of time, which relates to the question of whether time is linear or time is cyclic. So if you ask most cosmologists, they say, well, though the future of the universe is it will expand forever and it will get more and more dispersed. Eventually, we won't even be able to see the other galaxies. They'll be so far away. But that's interesting because if you read most of the religious texts, especially I think from the Eastern tradition, the Hindu and the Buddhist texts, there the indication is that the universe is going to recollapse and that you will actually have cycles of the universe.
Why are we taking any of that seriously though? I mean, none of that is written using evidence. None of that is concluded based on evidence. So why are we taking any of that seriously?
And I have to confess, personally, I've always favoured a cyclic universe because everything in the world we know of has cycles.
Right. So it's his own bias. Bernard Carr, right? I haven't really heard of him, but yeah, it's his own personal bias to find something spiritual or what he calls psychic.
It's out that the time of the cycle is something like 20 billion years. Modern cosmologists have only discovered this in the last 50 years using their telescopes. And so it's remarkable that Buddha and maybe other mystics were able to get this information, whatever it was, 500 BC, many, many years ago. So it's like you have this inner space station. So we're spending, through science, we're spending billions of dollars to get this information, whereas one's getting it from these mystical insights for free. Of course.
Please, there's a difference between information gathered using evidence and information that someone just wrote down using their imagination.
Not free. It's not free. It costs life. It costs life.
How did it cost life?
Oh, it's not.
It costs life. It's not free.
I see. Okay, fair enough. Yes, fair enough. No.
Dollars come from somewhere else. Life goes waste. Yes. Looking at these things.
But to me, this is an important point about the link between science and spirituality. One thinks of them as being opposed. From my perspective, they're both studying the physical universe, and they can both be applied to study the physical universe from an outer perspective and from the inner perspective. And I think ultimately...
Oh man, I don't have the patience to watch another 2 hours, so fuck this shit. I'm gonna stop over here. But what seems to have happened is that Sadhguru's team probably emailed him, got him for the talk and gave them the topic of science and spirituality. Because the Sadhguru types and even a lot of mystical types on YouTube talking about Hinduism and science do push this agenda of science and spirituality. And he's trying to relate the two topics as something that is trying to achieve similar goals, which it's not. And yeah, that's my opinion of the whole thing. I'm always open to be convinced otherwise, but I've never seen anything that is convincing. Let me know if you have. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.